Most players think calculation means imagining a plan, and that's wrong. Calculation is about finding the move that forces the game forward. If you don't start with a concrete move, you are not calculating. You are just daydreaming. Hi, I'm Grandmaster Shine. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm gonna talk about the difference between making a plan and a good calculation, which is the most important thing in chess. Now, if you ask amateurs, how do you think on the game? They may tell you, okay, I think like this, I want to attack, maybe improve the pieces, maybe push a pawn, maybe mate my opponent, maybe simplify the game going to the end game and then try to convert that position to win. But that's just not calculation, that's wishful thinking. Calculation does not start with just ideas, it starts with the candidate moves. Now, if you look at the board of two other players, all you can see is one of the moves and the other one answers with other moves. All your thoughts, all your plans, everything else is just imaginary. They are not real. Now, before we go to the position, and I will give you some simples that how you can find the best move, let me tell you an extra thing. The thing is, I'm not disagreeing with making a plan. I'm just saying finding the best move are more important, and calculating and analyzing move by move. Like I play this one and my opponent surely will answer with something because he or she also wants to win the game. And they are also like us humans. They want to do something. So we need to think about their ideas too. And move by move is more important than just imaginary plan. Let me show you some examples and let me tell you about some tricks about finding the best move. Now, look at this position, guys. It's for the beginning. We are black and we want to think about what is the exact best move for us. So, some players may think, okay, I'm black and I want to make an idea. So my idea could be trapping the white knight and try to play f6. Okay, that seems like a good plan. But if you really calculate move by move, you would understand that f6 is actually a blunder. Why? Because white can play a brilliant knight f7. Now, if you take the knight, queen h5 check, again, you have to go to e7 because g6 doesn't work, it just takes. And then everywhere we go, we lose our rook and have a losing position. Like for example, and everywhere we go, like for example, let's go to f8, we lose. How? Just one other check, taking the queen and taking the rook. So in this position, the only move was king e7, and this one is also not working because after take, rook e1, king d6, queen c5, and after a few moves, as you can see, we will be mated. So f6 at the beginning may look like a good plan, but if you think about move by move idea, that's actually blunder. So the best move here for black is actually knight e7. It looks safe, solid. Now we are defending the c6 pawn. We are defending white's idea, which would be d5. Now we cannot play d5 anymore. Obviously, we just take it because we have the knight protecting the queen. And then maybe with a right and move by move calculation, we would think about f6. That's the difference. And he cannot take knight takes f7 also because we just take. Queen h5 doesn't work anymore. We just play knight g6 and our knight from c8, as you can see, came to e7 g6 and our position would be winning off of. So that's the first example, and that's the difference between just making a plan and imagining something and calculating move by move. Now the first way to find the best move is called force moves first, and this is actually a golden rule because you just consider checks captured and traps in an order. Why? Because these moves are actually forcing our opponents to do whatever we like, not whatever he or she wants to do. Look at this position, and by the way, this one is not an easy one, it's just an example. The best move is not just making a plan, but thinking about checks, capture, threats. And here, the best idea is rook takes g4. Okay, he cannot do whatever he wants. He has to take it. Now, queen takes a6. Again, he cannot do whatever he wants. If he takes our queen, we have to go to f6, fork the queen and the king, and win the game. And if we take our knight, here the best idea is another force move, the threat, queen a5, threatening both the queen and the rook. So he has to go back. Now rook e8 is another brilliant idea. Check. Obviously white is winning because black cannot take the rook. Obviously we take the queen, and king g7 doesn't work either. So that's the idea in this position. But if at the beginning you would think, okay, I want to mate, I want to do this or that, you couldn't find the best move. Go to the exact solution of calculation, and that was the first trick. Let me show you the second trick of finding the best move. So this one is called preventing our opponent's ideas. Look at this position. Most amateur, because they just think about plans, they say, okay, it's opposite side castle, so I should just attack, and ignore the fact that if they let their opponents to play g6, it's pretty dangerous. Now, they may think about d5 or moves like knight b5. It doesn't work either. Why? Because after g6, even if you take the bishop, queen h4, it's a pretty complicated position. And actually, if we continue this line, for example, f takes, let's say we play h6, queen takes c4, king h8, bishop takes h6, then g7, then all the pieces coming to the board, and eventually white wins the game. So instead of all this trouble, you should try to prevent your opponent's idea if you can first, then try to continue attacking. Now, the best move and the only good move here for black is g6 actually, preventing white to play g6 himself. And after this little move, you can do whatever you want in the next move, d5, knight b5, knight c3, and knight a3 even. And black's position is actually right now much better, if not winning. So instead of just trying to do what you like, calculate. And even if you cannot calculate until the end and you see the position is too difficult, too complicated, and it seems like your opponent is faster, consider preventing him first. Let's go to the other trick of finding the best move. The third one is called compare. Don't fall in love. And it's quite important, and one of the common mistakes from amateurs is like they see a line and they get too excited. They think, okay, that's it. I find the brilliant idea, and they don't even consider one more line to compare between them. Now, look at this position. We are right. You may think at the beginning, okay, I have some problems and I cannot play g3 or g takes f3 either because he will play knight h3, forking the king and the rook, and it will be at least complicated position. So at the beginning you may think, okay, king h1 is the brilliant idea here. I'm a genius. If you take on g2, I take with the rook, knight takes, queen takes. Now this bishop is defenseless. And even if he plays f6, rook g1, rook f7, knight h6, and white position and obviously better. But the problem is, if you play king h1, black's idea is even more brilliant. He can play queen takes f2, the queen sacrifice. You take with the queen, f takes g2. Now we have to lose. How? Because if you play king g1, knight h3, forking again, and our position is not good enough. So instead of king h1, which was wrong, the best move here is actually king f1. Now the point is he cannot play queen takes f2 anymore. You just take with the king and there's no fork or any other idea. And f takes g2, rook takes g2, knight takes g2, king takes g2. Now our position is alive, and by the way, it's better than our opponent. How? Because okay, we have less material, but our idea is more dangerous. We want to play rook g1, for example, then king h1, queen g5, attacking on the bishop. Now other ideas are also possible, like for example in the future we can think about rook a3, rook g3 as well, and vice idea is even better. Now if you compared at the beginning between this and that move and consider them both, you may find the idea it was difficult, but it was possible. But if you just make a plan in your mind and not considering move by move, not considering prevention, not considering your opponent's side of the story also, you could make a huge blunder here and you would lose the game. Now, these are the 3 tricks that you could do to find the better idea instead of planning. Let me summarize the whole subject and also give you some training drills to how to work on this. So we understood that the best thing to do during the game is not just making a plan, but calculating our moves. Why? Because moves are the only real and natural thing during the game. And in order to do that, I gave you 3 important tricks. The first one and the golden rule was first consider force moves. Why? Because the best move is the one that forces your opponent to play your game, to play whatever you like in the game. The second one was always try to consider your opponent's side of the story and preventing them from what they want to do. And the third one was compare. Do not fall in love with just one line. Do not get too excited. Analyze this, and even if that is good, if you have time, think about the better idea as well. And let me give you a training how you can actually get better on this subject. Now, the first step is always try to write 3 candidate moves when you set the board and you want to solve a position. And you cannot find and think about less than 3 candidates. Then analyze one of them really deep to the end. And the last one is compare between them. Now, if you do these 3 steps, and even after the game, ask yourself which move I did wrong and what of those 3 steps I misplaced and ignored during the game. I'm sure that you will get much better, and in the future you would surprise your opponent who is just trying to make a plan. You would disturb his plan and do your own ideas and win the game. Now, if you enjoy this and it was useful for you, please subscribe my channel, turn on the notification so every time I post new stuff you will be aware. Thank you for watching.